Right. Councillor Hunt. Good evening. All right, and here comes Councillor Newton. Right, well, it is 6 o'clock or just gone 6 o'clock. We are live on YouTube, I just note. So welcome to the Planning Subcommittee meeting of Hertford Town Council, Monday the 18th of January. And Nick, we better just go through the agenda, and item 1, just again, just to reiterate that the meeting is being recorded, and I think it's going out live on YouTube as well, isn't it, Nick?
That is correct, yes, Chairman.
So good evening to anyone who's brave enough to listen. Item 2 is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies, Nick?
No, Chairman, no apologies.
No. Councillor Lynch, good evening. Well, I think we're a full house. Excellent. So item 3 then is any declarations of interest. So I'm looking, no, it would appear not. So we're on to item 4, which is to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Any comments before I'll move to approve those? Goodness. So would anyone like to propose minutes? Well, I can propose that the minutes are an accurate record. Would someone like to second that? Thank you, Councillor Ruffles. Just got in ahead of you, Councillor Lynch. I think photo finish, but we'll record it as Councillor Ruffles. So we now move on to item 6. Have we got any questions and/or statements from members of the public, Nick? No. Okay. So in that case, annex paper A then, item 5. Do we have any? Oh, I think I skipped that one. Beg your pardon. Do we have any outstanding actions, Nick, that have been updated or?
Chairman, in relation to the Rare Breeds Farm, I have contacted East Herts and asked them for update and whether they wish to attend a meeting. I haven't yet had a reply, so I will chase that next week.
Okay. That's perfect. I think then we can move on with the agenda and jump back to the agenda items. Item 7 then is to look at paper B, planning applications. So the first planning application is for 24 Queens Road. So Nick, I'm not sure whether you're able to share that with us.
Yes, Chairman.
Application, we've seen it several times before. Previous applications have been rejected. The previous very large rear dormer was deemed to be too large, overbearing and dominant, and that's the reason why District Council have rejected it on previous occasions. I'm not sure whether Nick's going to
just coming up.
That rear elevation in particular.
It's just coming up.
It's coming up. I've had a look at the former application and this current application, and what I can observe is that certainly the dormer is smaller in scale. So the last application had a Juliet balcony. I don't know whether anyone remembers or not. So it had a full length sort of window down one side of the dormer, and that's now gone. But from a sort of side elevation, it still has the same, it still protrudes. In fact, you can see the dormer there. It still protrudes in the same way. The scale of the side elevation still looks the same to me when I look from one to the other. And I know that 26 Queens Road were concerned about loss of light. Because you can see, in fact, that's quite useful in the bottom image there. You can see the conservatory that number 24 has to the right of the centre line of that semi-detached, and then you can see this what there now is a full width single-story extension with that the dormer you can see for the second floor. And
the orientation, though, Chairman, is on the side of number 26, isn't it? I would have thought.
Yes,
and and therefore possibly the conservatory overshadowing is less than it would be if it was the other half of the semi-detached properties that we were looking at.
true. Incidentally, we made no comment. Oh no, no objection on the last application.
I still don't object.
Neither do I.
Okay. So having reviewed all that, Nick, it's a no objection. Then we'll move on to 34 Cherry Tree Green. Now, this is those of you who know Cherry Tree Green, there's a sort of, well, there is a green, but this is where there's a bit of a kink in the in the building line. And they have a detached garage alongside their property, which they're proposing to sort of knock down and build an extension in its place. In fact, yes, that's quite useful. In summary. It's quite large scale as well when you look at the size of 34, the footprint, if you like, of 34, and then what they're proposing in terms of this extension. Does anyone have any observations?
Personally, I don't know.
No, I think it's a shame to knock down what looks like a new garage, but it's not overbearing, and it's still, I mean, it's at an angle to the neighbour, and it has respected a metre gap, so I think I can't see how to object to it, really.
Well, there's been no objections put in against it, has there?
No.
From
Enough, it's a no objection then. All right, that's 34 Cherry Tree Green. We'll move on to the land at 190/192 North Road.
Yeah.
Now, when this original application came up before us in 2019, they wanted to demolish 190 and build 2 detached properties. And we had concerns, and we voiced our concerns about access onto the main road. And this is exactly what this application is addressing. So whether we can say we told you so. The moment you can see from that view, and that's quite helpful actually, that there's 2 sort of parallel access roads. And the issue really is the fact that if there's a car waiting to turn into, so one of those service roads services 10 properties, and the other one, the 2 new properties. And the problem is that if there's traffic waiting to turn in at the moment at North Road, on the left, on the existing one, there's a car waiting to turn out. There's nowhere for it to go, and potentially there's a danger. And so the proposal is to take 3 trees out, maybe even 4 actually, with the red. You can see the red outlines of the canopies that they're proposing to remove. And to make a sort of common access off the main road that would allow 2-way traffic effectively if needed. So there's not such a danger for traffic queuing on North Road.
May I ask, Mr. Chairman, how old are the trees and what are they?
If we look down the page there, Nick, there's some photographs usefully. Don't know whether you can just look at the bottom of this image. I don't know whether it's this one or another one. Oh, have I lost Nick? Are you able to? Oh, there we go. So the picture on the left there shows that they're they're not that old, these trees. They're quite spindly. So it's the ones in the center. You can see that sort of central element there, and then one on the corner near the road, presumably it's North Road. That sign says. Oh no, it might say High Molewood, but near the road sign, the road name sign. So they don't look that substantial trees.
But they'll have wildlife in them, and it's a little bit of habitat that's gone.
It is green belt.
Yeah.
Does it affect the openness of the green belt, and does the if you like, issue of road safety outweigh the
Takes.
impact on the openness of the green belt.
I think, personally, I think the road safety is very important.
Yeah.
Although I do agree with Councillor Sally Newton, because it is taking away another habitat, but weigh one against the other, and I think the safety of the entrance and exit is quite important.
Really, it's quite small when you compare it to the desecration of the A602, so I suppose we can't really complain much, can we?
I noticed the words alongside the scale bar there say East Arch District Council have agreed highlighted trees can be removed.
Yeah.
I think that's for danger. If you actually look at that picture, you can see one of the trees, which I presume is the Scots pine they're on about, actually leaning over at an alarming angle. So I guess that's the one that they're saying they would cut down anyway. Yeah, I mean, I run past there once a week, I suppose, and it's a sort of very wooded aspect at the moment. This will obviously detract from that quite a bit, but in the great scheme of things, it's perhaps not something that we want to spend a lot of time arguing about.
Yeah, I agree. It's been
Do we want to go no comment, or do we want to actually say that we do feel that the road safety concerns do?
Just say it isn't one of these necessary things, which is a shame.
As East Arch Council has already agreed.
Yeah, I think that's in a different context.
I think, Chairman, they probably haven't agreed in planning terms as much as agreed that the actual trees themselves, as individual specimens, weren't of great value. But
Right.
there's still a question about removing them, even though the arboreal people.
Yes.
All trees in a conservation area are by nature protected, are they not?
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that's the issue we're looking at, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it also mentions tree preservation orders as well.
There may be specific ones. Yeah, don't know.
Alongside the proposal. So
I remember, Chairman, when quite a while back, when we were looking at the additional property proposed for access on the right hand of the two, as we're looking at the picture on the bottom left, the right hand track.
Yes,
there were representations made somehow. I've forgotten how I picked them up, whether it was to me as a Benjo councillor or whether it was through just looking at the planning application, but there were representations from some people living on the left hand part, the established part, that the entrance was not altered. They were very keen on there being two distinct in and out separate roadways, tracks there, one for them and one for what at that time were proposed properties additional on the right hand bit. So I'm a bit uncomfortable about just saying, yeah, I'm sure it's fine, when I recall some people who use frequently with vehicles actually putting out a case for no change.
I mean, I suppose the other thing is to say is this, that, I mean, frankly, I regard the road safety argument here as completely overblown. I mean, this is a speed limited road. So what if people have to wait in the middle of the road? That's what happens. It's not a motorway. And it's a sort of common thing that you have to do in loads of places. It's a common part of driving. If it was a hazard, then I would expect the Highway Authority to have taken action around the original planning application. But there's no sign of that.
I think it's also fair to say that the original access for 10 properties, which is, if you like, at the top of the screens as we're looking at this image, or was on the left-hand side, as Councillor Ruffles pointed out on the photographs. They've been coming and going for years now. I'm not aware that this is a danger, an accident black spot, or that there's been any issue thus far. So I understand what you're saying, Councillor Pinkham. I'm merely reflecting on what was in the transport report or whatever that's with the application. I think on balance, I'm not really persuaded that that it's justified.
I agree. I agree with Councillor Pinkham.
Yeah, I don't think it's justified.
No.
The volume doesn't warrant it.
No.
Actually,
So
I'm also looking at it on Google Maps, and if you look, there's actually on Google Earth, there's maps or whatever. There's a black car waiting to pull out, and you can pan all the way round on the street view, and you've got a really good view of both directions.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think there's a road safety issue there at all.
No. So this is an objection then, is it? I mean, I just think it's Nick, we do object to this application in the green belt, which would lead to well, it's not a loss of openness, isn't it? It's actually opening up.
It's a loss of character of the green belt, really. I think
That's
this is
very
a
useful
woodland
term.
But
Yeah, it would lead to a loss of character of this wooded greenbelt area.
Not really justified, is it?
The existing access has not presented any problems in the past, and we do not believe that the addition of one effectively the addition of one property will materially make any difference to road safety. So we don't feel that it outweighs the impact on the green belt. All right, are you all right with that, Nick?
Yeah. Chairman, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So next is Duncombe Road. And the road street numbering is always something of interest.
what happened
to number 17 is number 21. There is no 19.
Can't believe that Councillor Ruffles doesn't know why there's no.
There are bigger gaps in the numbers a little bit higher up the range on that side as well. Very mysterious.
There we are. So I don't know. First of all, I would comment on the dormers that they're proposing to put on the front elevation. I haven't been down the whole length of Duncombe Road, but certainly in the vicinity of this property, there are no sort of dormers of this nature.
Yeah, it's a pretty higgledy-piggledy road, though, isn't it? And I don't know. I mean, it's not my ward, but I do live there. It doesn't. It's not a particularly pretty house, this one. And if anything, the dormers enhance it, I think, at the front. But it's just my opinion. But
it's the rear I have a problem with. I agree
yes,
with you.
Agree.
It's just completely overshadowing the neighbours, really.
Yes, I agree. And it's not the front. I don't have a problem with the front.
Yeah,
but I do have a problem with the rear.
That rear dormer is quite unattractive, isn't it?
It's like someone's built a shed on top of their house. I mean, it's just dreadful.
Yeah. So is that the general view that they're not so much concerned about the front elevation? I would also observe that the rear extension does. You can see that it extends into the alleyway, if you like, between 17 and 21. So obviously he's clearly viewed from the front of the property. It does seem to extend pretty much out to their boundary as well, looking at these graphics.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get very excited about the rear of buildings, but I mean, nevertheless, if you had to look from your back garden and you're looking back at this building, it is a monstrosity what they're proposing, and I could certainly do without it in my neighbourhood, but.
I mean,
so shall we say something like the committee object to the poor design of the rear elevations?
It's a conservation area after all.
In the conservation area, is it a second floor dormer? I suppose it is a second floor dormer. These say, is just dominates the roof line.
Is it too poetical to use the description we had a moment ago about putting a shed on the roof, as it were? I think that says everything, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be. I mean, I don't know in planning terms whether that is the correct terminology, but yes, it does look. It does look like an extension has just been plonked on the roof.
I'm surprised the Victorian house people next door haven't complained, because they have windows facing that side and it'll totally overshadow them. I don't know whether that.
Yeah, 21 is concerning about loss of light. Is concerned about loss of light, and they put in a loss of light report or sunlight report that claims it won't have any impact. What do we think about this square grey? What do they call it? Picture window or whatever to the right of the bifolding doors. I'm sure they're bifolding.
I mean, it's a mess, isn't it? You've got a whole series of different approaches to windows and fenestration on the back of the building. You've got one part, sort of unequal window. You've then got two equal windows. You've then got a three-piece window. You've got this absolutely strange sort of square thing, and then you've got the bifold doors. So I think I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of windows on the back of one house. I mean, it's architectural nightmare, and it is in the it's in the conservation
area. Yeah. We're also concerned about the lack of consistency in the fenestration in the rear of the property. So it is an objection then, Nick. Is that sufficient? Do we want to comment about the potential loss of light, or should we leave that for others?
I think leave it to others, because it's from when I looked at the report, I thought, I believe this? No, not much. And I'll just leave it to people who know what they're doing on that, I think.
We can say that it may well be overbearing for neighbours.
Yeah.
The overall scale of the extensions would be overbearing for the neighbouring properties. So we move on to 33 Wellington Street. And we've been here before as well. I don't know whether people will recall.
Yeah.
So again, there was a large rear dormer. I think it was the width of the property. And at the rear of the property, and it was rejected on the grounds that it was overbearing. It's now a little bit smaller in terms of the width across the rear elevation. But we didn't have bifold rear doors on the last application, which we now have on this one. We made no comment, incidentally, to the original application that was rejected.
And I still don't think we should comment. I think it's okay, frankly.
Any observations? So we'll go no comment again then on 33 Wellington Street. Then we move on to 12 Curry Street, off the Ware Road. Some more townhouses. In the conservation area. Here we are. So that's not bad. Just if we basically all they want to do is to infill and extend the full width of their property out to the same as number 14. So, but right across the width of their demise.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't see anything wrong with this, frankly.
I couldn't. It's single story as well.
Mm.
I personally had no issue with it. So in fact, yeah, C pretty much explains what they want to do. Structurally, I think it's quite a big job, but certainly visually, I didn't have any issue with this. Anyone
No,
else?
I agree.
So there's a no objection then, Nick. And we move on to 16 Revels Road in Benjamin. So they've had several goes at this application. The last one being refused on appeal. So this sits on the corner, doesn't it? Is it Parker Road?
Parker Avenue, yeah.
Strange shaped site.
Yeah.
And it's quite elevated, isn't it? It sort of sits up quite proud. So anything they do to this property is going to be quite prominent. And we did comment on the impact it would have on the road, on the street scene. The last application they put in that was rejected.
And the proximity to the neighbour in the avenue. The Parker Avenue,
isn't it? Yeah.
This is slightly smaller.
Yeah.
So it is scaled down there in height and width. So the original application, if you can see the sort of that new extension actually almost went up to the roof line of, to the apex, if you like, of the existing roof line, and now they brought it down significantly. I think it extended out beyond the existing single story extension as well. So they have sort of reduced the scale of it. So before on that rear elevation,
I thought we could live with this. I don't think it's too bad.
No,
Big difference.
I got to say I wouldn't have any objections.
just the quite prominent position, I suppose. Councillor, brain death has occurred. Excuse me, and my camera's gone off. Councillor Lynch, who is probably quite familiar with the building.
Well.
So if you feel that it's okay.
It's not devastatingly ugly and it's not intruding. I personally have no objections.
Are the overlooking question from windows is
I don't
slightly
think
different to overbearing? Is that in order? Yes, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
What are they saying to that window? I mean, there was a window, if you like, you can see on the existing elevation, and albeit a sort of tall, narrow one.
Yeah.
And
I'm
in fact,
I'm not kind of keen on saying no one must overlook anything, because historically all over the place we do. But this is the angle here makes it could make it difficult if windows were in the wrong place for anyone to escape the observations of their neighbours, as it were.
Yeah.
But I think it's all right, Chairman.
Yeah. Okay. I think we'll go. Is that no comment or no objection?
no objections.
We'll go no objection then with Revels Road. The last item on paper B then is 103 Ware Road. And this is a single story rear extension. I certainly had no objections.
In my notes were it's not worse than what's there now.
That's and broadly in line with what a lot of the neighbours have done. Yeah,
Some of these applications that we receive now would not have made it through 10, 15 years ago. What's there already? Sorry, that didn't come out right.
But as you can see when you look at the location plan, you can see that it's it's quite a common feature along the back of several of those properties. 105, 107. So is that no objection?
Yeah.
That's where I stand.
Okay, well, Nick, we'll move on to paper C,
Chairman.
and it's
Okay.
29 Cublands to start. I had to scratch my head to find Cublands.
It's the usual Foxholes estate.
I was going to say, indeed it is, yes.
Two.
The note that I put down here is that it's a question of, I think the garden, really, isn't it? I mean, there's not much left by the time.
Here we are.
If there's anything wrong with this, it's the way it sits on the, how it sits in the planning, but I don't know.
The only observation I had to make, really, and at some point we'll see, there's a rather strange situation where we just, on the left here, if we just have a look on the left there, the kitchen window used to look out through the conservatory. I think they're blocking it up now, that window. So the kitchen will have no sort of natural daylight or window or whatever. But that living area, what was a conservatory, I think, and they're now wanting to sort of effectively brick it up and make it into a living space.
It's not a distinct kitchen, is it? Isn't it effectively a kitchen?
It's a sort of kitchenette, isn't it? I suppose, yeah.
Well, yeah, it has got a door, I suppose.
It's quite a narrow property, isn't it?
Doesn't seem to have a door. I think that's their problem.
I think it's their problem as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Overall, then, no objection.
Yep.
Then we move on to 43 St Leonard's Road. And they want to convert their garage into a study because it's not wide enough for a modern car. Let's see. So I know we normally regret loss of garage.
Yeah. In this case, I regret the loss of the bay window and the general sort of fenestration at the front. I think this is in the conservation area. Okay, it may not be a really remarkable house. I don't mind them changing the garage into a study, but just look at it at the front. They've turned what is a feature, which is the bay window, and for some reason I can't really understand. They just lopped it off and substituted something rather worse, I would have thought. And that is the front, and it is the conservation area. So to me, it's out of keeping. It's not.
I agree. I mean, I don't mind garages being working offices now with COVID and everything, but they could make it look a little bit better. I agree. Well, it's not looking good, is it?
Okay.
What do you think, Chairman?
Yeah, it does make it very featureless, doesn't it, as a building?
Yeah. I feel so, but
taking away. Was there a loss of chimney as well, wasn't there? Did I just notice a loss of chimney? No. I think Councillor Ruffles would have been on that. All right. Do we regret the loss of a bay window, or do we actually?
I think we object. Actually, there's several houses in a row there, aren't there? And don't they all have these bay windows?
Well, even if they don't, it makes this house look more dull, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes, that's right.
The committee object to the loss of the bay window on the front elevation of the property, which is which I like the full words you had, Councillor Pinkham, but I can't think what they were now. Which reduces the, or I don't know, what did you say?
It's the visual interest of the front of the building.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole sort of fenestration has been rendered well. If you look at, I mean,
Yeah.
if they keep the bay window, they've got to do something different with the window on their study. I would have thought what you do is you have a 3-part window there to reflect the bay, but not actually a bay. But I don't know. I mean,
Right.
leave that to architects.
Yeah. We regret the loss of the visual impact of the bay window in within the conservation area. Well, no, we don't regret. We object to it.
Object to it, yeah.
Yeah, we object to the loss of the bay window and reduction in the visual value of the fenestration
within the conservation area.
Within the conservation area, indeed. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we'll see an amendment through later. We'll move on to 138 Ware Road. Now, this one, it does have a loss of chimney. I knew there was one on the papers.
This is an ugly house.
It is.
And so normally I get excited about things down at the front, but it actually makes it look better at the front, I think. It enhances the building.
And whilst it is quite a substantial rear extension, it matches the neighbour on the other side. So I don't actually, overall, I don't object to it.
Well, I certainly don't object to the front. I think we should have a little look at the back. This is not the building we're looking at. This is not it. This is no, we're on the wrong.
No, 138 Ware Road. What's this? Is this
Avenue?
Yeah, this is the Avenue bungalow.
All right, we'll come to that. Do you want to deal with this one now, then, Nick, as you've got it up, or? Oh, here we are.
Are we now?
138 Ware Road, which is 0073. Yep. Nick, from a procedural point of view, would you find it easier if I referred to the planning application number rather than the road name, or you on mute?
Gemma, I can do either way. So I've got them both noted down, so whatever suits you. Thank you.
Excellent.
So if I can just finish what I was saying, I think it's actually we should cheer on the front. It's much nicer than what's there at the moment. And it's in a place where you've got lots of different sorts of houses, and it's set back. And I don't think in bringing the building line forward, I don't think it doesn't bother me in it at all. But when we turn to the back, I'm not entirely with you, Chairman. I think these windows are, balconies are, they're out of keeping really with the other buildings in that area. But of course, it's not the conservation area, so maybe we can't object on that basis, but they do, to me, seem out of keeping. But
there's an awful lot of glass there, isn't there?
There is a hell of a lot of glass.
Yeah, I don't think I twigged that when I took a quick look. I think I focused on the plans and thought, well, it looks about.
Perhaps I like the sun shining in.
Well,
but I do agree that because the houses are set back from the road, aren't they? Quite. You know,
yeah. And there are lots of different designs along that part of the road, and this is a particularly ugly one. It's it's the old monstrous carbuncle, isn't it? Set in the midst of some quite nice houses. So this actually, to me, it improves it. Makes it look like
certainly the front elevation, I think, is an I would agree with you, is an improvement. But actually, when you look at the existing rear elevation, there's quite a lot of glass there.
Yeah, there is. So
I hadn't really realised.
And it's not in the conservation area, but so.
And the proposed, we could just have a look at the proposed, is it plans or elevations there? Yeah. Lost a back door. And but there is a huge amount of glass there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
But it's the rear of the property.
Is it south facing or that back, or is it? I thought.
Is it south
Yes,
facing?
It's southeast, yeah.
Thought it would be.
Yeah, it's south. Yeah, going to be so hot.
Yeah. Slide those doors open. Does anyone else feel strongly about the rear of the property?
No.
Not in that location. And they keep in the garage. Hallelujah.
True.
This week.
To the next one, yeah. Watch this space.
Yeah, quite. That's the trouble, isn't it? Do you want to comment on the? Do we want to make any comment, or do we just let this one through?
I think probably best to not comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's what I'm trying to do wrong. Here we go. All right. I think it's a no objection then, or was it a no comment? I can't. I think no objection. I think overall we actually approve of the front of the building. And then we move to 134 the Avenue. Is this one here, is it?
I find this hard to hate.
I know. I was much the same. So I had no objection to this.
No, not me.
Any other? Oh yeah, exactly. When you see it's not what's being replaced isn't beautiful.
No.
Okay, so there's no objection to 134 the Avenue. Right. Now what do I do? Exit full screen. Forgive my mutterings. So we dealt with papers B and C, and now we need to have a look at paper D. Anyone, any observations regarding decisions from Herts County Council and East Herts District Council? No? Okay, we'll move on then to item 8. I beg your pardon, item 9. Are there any licensing applications for us to consider?
Chairman, no licensing applications.
Item 10, is there any correspondence?
There is no correspondence, Chairman.
Okay, so we reach item 11, which is items for future agenda. Has anyone got anything for future agenda?
I just wonder, maybe not the forum here, but it just occurred to me, Caxton Hill is quite important to, there's an opportunity here because of the proximity of Kingsmead and so on, and people being able to walk through. I just wonder if we should discuss Caxton Hill here or not.
You're very muffled, Tony.
You are quite muffled.
I was
Traeger. Oh, that's better.
I was wondering whether we should be discussing Caxton Hill at some point at this meeting, or is it a specific application we have to discuss?
We have discussed it.
Site for the town, and particularly for people connecting through from Foxholes and Kingsmead and so on.
I think until it comes before the committee, you know, whether there's any sort of proposal for us to discuss. I know that the developers have had some consultation, but I don't think there are any formal proposals yet that we could consider.
Okay.
But I think we would agree, Councillor Tarega, that it is quite a pivotal development because, as you say, it links. It provides an opportunity for access, you know, apart from going along Ware Road, you know, but at the top of the hill there, it provides access, doesn't it, from Foxholes across that ridge.
Might relieve the Ware Road, not for cars, but for pedestrians and other people.
Pedestrians, cycleways, you know, there's lots of opportunity, but we've no proposals to discuss at this stage. So I think until something comes before us. And sometimes developers come and present their, you know, thinking to the committee. I don't know whether we've been approached, have we, Nick?
No.
Not yet.
We had a presentation from the developers, not as a planning committee, but I thought they, maybe I have this wrong. I'm sure I can recall attending something not online.
They made a presentation to councillors in general.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure. And in fact, I agree with Councillor Terega that what they showed were, yes, that they talked a lot about routes, pedestrian routes and such like, but I wasn't at all clear that we were actually going to get that from what they proposed.
The issue always with these things, and I'm sure Councillor Ruffles is going to back me up on this, it's unless you have a sort of a unified approach, and I don't know whether it's at district or county council level that sort of brings all the different interested parties together. It's very difficult, you know, they've got their boundaries and they can put something in place within their boundaries, but then what happens outside the boundaries of their development?
Yeah.
They can provide some sections 106 money or whatever, but it doesn't always happen, does it, Councillor Ruffles?
It's still very important to get the jigsaw puzzle piece that we do have control of through a planning application in place. So if they're they were offering to provide, we must hold them to that within their power. The little detail that I'm interested in, I'm no longer connected to Castle Ward or Kingsmead, but that whole route which leads from Kingsmead into the A414 near Simon Ball School has been the subject of I've taken myself officers of county up to it several times just to examine the possibilities, and the ownership thing that we've been talking about a moment or two ago always of course comes into it and presents challenge, but the real drive through should be the rights of way officers at county, and so you know, perhaps county councillors, I think Bob Deering is probably in the picture, and I guess Andrew is, but we need to keep them in their last few months on the case of the whole route. But what I was really going to say is, importantly, in the town council files somewhere are some statements that were made some years ago, and I asked them to be kept in the castle files, signed by people to say they have walked that route. So they're hard copy papers, and they were from parents, and two sadly are no longer with us, but they were from parents who pushed their children in buggies from the Foxholes estate to Ablesmith School along the whole route of that path, and they signed to say that they had done that. And I hope they're still lodged in the castle somewhere, and because it may just be that they're useful.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't believe there's anything else, Nick, that we need to consider at this meeting. I think we can declare this meeting closed. I'll take a short break before we meet for the full council meeting. So thank you very much for your participation.
See you in a bit.
Thank you, and we'll see you. We'll see you shortly. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.